Bang, Neeves. I'm Jared. My lovely wife Kara is out trapping Bigfoot. And yes, I said trapping because killing Bigfoot in some states is illegal. I guess you can trap them, but you can't kill them. Yep, didn't know that either. I would think it'd be by any means necessary. But let's get into this video. So, this video was sent to us by ShakerMt. What a great dude. We appreciate him supporting us and being such a good friend to us. Also, I'm going to link his YouTube channel and his Instagram channel in the description. I did already try to post this video twice. For some reason, it wouldn't go up, so I'm just redoing the whole thing. So let's get to it. Let's get into the good and bad right after the specs. We'll quickly go over the specs. So this is 7 3/8 altogether with a 3 1/8 inch blade. So not a big knife, not a big knife at all. It's actually very comparable, if not the exact same, as the Benchmade Bug Out. Which, you know, I guess they can be considered full-size knives for some people. I consider it kind of a medium-sized knife. Another good size comparison is the Civivi Chronic. The Civivi Chronic, these two are very, very comparable. And there's something else that's very comparable about these two, and we'll get into that in just a second. Let's show a couple smaller knives. Here is the Spyderco Para 3 Lightweight. You can see it's close, but it is a little bit smaller. And then one more that's just a little bit bigger, the Benchmade 940-1. Just a little bit bigger. Alright, now let's get into this knife. Alright, so this is CTS XHP and titanium frame with beautiful carbon fiber. Alright, it also has T10 pivot. So usually pivots are T8s, not always, but it's nice to see them when they're even bigger. And this is a T10, and then all the rest of the hardware is T8s. So that is very nice, very strong built. Let's go back to the blade. This is CTS XHP, nice and stonewashed, beautifully stonewashed. And also it's got a beautiful drop point blade. Love this blade shape. It's got to be one of my favorite blade shapes. It is a hollow ground blade. I did measure this thinner than I thought. I measured it like 16 thousandths behind the edge right in this area. I don't know if my calipers are messed up because it feels a little thicker than that. If I'm wrong, please let me know if you do know. But that is what I measured at right here. Now obviously it gets a little thicker towards the tip because it does have a very strong tip. This is not a tip you're going to be breaking off. It's a very strong spine, and you see the details that went into this blade. Like even when you look in here, like the cutout around the hole, and the jimping is well done. I mean, well done. Very, very nice jimping. You see the swedge all the way around. Tip is very nice, and then the grind is beautifully well. I mean, this is a beautiful grind. It's not just because it's a hollow, but just how even it is from one side to the other. I did not sharpen this. Now I did clean it up and everything. I'm probably going to clean it up one more time before I send it back to Shaker. But I like to make sure, because he's on the road 24/7, 365 days a year. So I like to send his knives back better than they came, you know, if it's possible. But this did not need an edge. I did not sharpen it. It has a beautiful factory sharpened edge that's still in perfect condition, if I can get it to focus. But yeah, very, very nice. It's pretty even. The only part that I seen that wasn't 100% even was just right at the tip. The one side it's got a little bit bigger bevel. Now I do not think that is from the grind of the knife. I think that was just from the factory sharpening. You can see this side is just a little bit smaller than that side. No big deal, not a big deal at all. And like I said, I don't think that is from the grind of the blade. I think that is just from the person that sharpened it at the factory. Now I did strop it, and it came back to a very, very sharp edge, very nice. It's not very toothy or anything. It doesn't have a lot of bite, but it's very nice. It cuts very well. It'll still shave arm hair and everything else. Okay, now let's go to what I like about the frame. Okay, so this is all in all, the whole knife is just a beautifully well done knife. This knife is done so well, and I honestly don't think I'm going to be able to match how good the first video was. So I'm almost not even going to try. I just want to get this video up. But everything is just so well done. This is a frame lock with a steel insert. Now there's something special here, because let me get the flashlight. Now if you look, you see the two screws holding in the steel insert. Now let's look. You see that other screw right there at the bottom where this goes through right here? Well, that, if you loosen those up, what you can do is you can adjust it. So if it's getting lock or something like that, you can adjust it. Or say if it starts to move over a little too far, you can adjust it. But also, it's not going to move over all the way, and this is why. Check this out. Look at, let's see if I can wipe it really quick. Make sure there's no oil on it. See if we can get a clear view of it. Look at where the stop pin goes. You see that shelf? So if you look, there's a little shelf right here. Now that shelf right here will stop the lock bar from going all the way over. So it can only move over in this section right here. That's awesome. So you'll never have 100% lockup. And then say if it, something fell off my desk. So say if something does, or say if it does move over a little bit farther than you want, you can adjust it. It's amazing. Talk about a knife that could possibly last you forever. I mean, that's amazing. As long as, you haven't sharpened it too much or whatever. But I don't know what their warranty is on replacing blades or anything like that. Now, Millit Knives is out of Idaho. They do OEM work. They do collabs. They do work for other knife companies, knife designers, whatever, in-house. Yeah, really cool company. And this is designed by TJ Schwartz. And if you know TJ Schwartz, I don't know him, but I know of him. He designs some of the best knives that are in the knife community as of right now. I mean, some amazing designs. And so he's the one that made the Millit Torrent, or designed it, and Millit made it. Okay, so let's get back to this stuff. Okay, so beautiful frame lock, and there's so many little fine details. Let's zoom in a little bit. And you see, I love the carbon fiber swirls on the sides. That's my favorite type of cut, is the sides right here. I love that when it's on the face. But either way, this is a beautifully well done carbon fiber. I love how the screws are countersunk. Everything's very nice. The jipping on the backspacer does work very well in the hand. And then look at this. Look at that blade to handle ratio. Watch this. I mean, it is about as even as you can get. Now the centering, it's off a little bit, but I could adjust that. I already did, and it slightly comes off after I flip it a whole bunch of times. I do need to put a little Loctite in there, and I'll do that before I send it back. When you put in Loctite, you should let it sit for about 2 days, 48 hours at least, to let it dry and settle in. So since I'm using it and testing it and everything, I'm not willing to not flip it for 2 days. So when I send it back, I'll set it all straight, and it'll be fine. It does go back to center. Anyways, but you see that blade to handle ratio? Now you can't really get it. I mean, I can barely feel it, but not enough to be a problem. And you see me, I'm pushing hard. So that is amazing. This is about the best blade to handle ratio you can get. You see the CTS XHP right there. The clip works very well. And they leave you, if you look at this, this is another thing. Let's zoom in really good right here. Now you see how this is all stone washed, right? Very nice. I love a working finish on a knife. You see the Millit Knives logo. Now you see how it's all stone washed, and look right up here, the way how there's like lines, but the lines are only from here up. Now I think that is because when it's in the pocket, it leaves that much out. So I think what that's for is so that when you go like this, it gives you like a little bit of grip or something. Even though it's not real grippy or nothing, but it leaves you a little grip to pull it out. So they give you enough room to actually pull it out. Now they don't, it's not a very deep carry clip, but you know, it's kind of a give and take thing. Now the action, let's get to the action. Some of the best parts about this knife. I don't know about the best parts, but a very, very cool part. Okay, and we'll bring back the Chronic. Okay, so you see it has a very, very small flipper tab. They give you one jimp up top. Now it's for this one, and they do make several different types of these. I don't know about several, but they make different configurations. You can get these in a lot of different variations. Like Nick Shabazz, I don't know if he still has it or not, but he had a Damasteel handle one. So it was Damasteel with a Damasteel overlay. Very, very cool. But anyway, so the flipper tab gives you this little jump right there. Works very, very well. It's more of a light switch because you don't really have a push button, because this doesn't work back there. Now if you're going to push button, you kind of got to hook it and push button it like that. But just to hook it and pull down works so good. The action is fantastic. And then the detent ball is so early, and you can actually see it right there. Well, that's the detent hole. But when the detent ball right here gets onto the blade, it's right there. So it's so early. So nice early, or nice access to the lock bar. I'll show you that right here. So you see this little cutout right there. I don't know if you can see that or not. There's like a little shelf right here that gives you access to the lock bar. So perfect access to the lock bar, and then by the time you disengage it, it's already past the detent ball. Super duper smooth. Middle finger flick. Ooh, that was my fault. Super easy. I mean, very, very easy. You can even thumb flick it very easily, and without pinching, because a lot of times when you do a slow roll with a lot of frame locks, you have to pinch it out, then slow roll. Not this one. This one, you can easily do it with just your thumb. Very easily. I really, really like that. But the middle finger flick, I don't have really chunky fingers, but I just use just the skin of my finger, and it's super easy. You don't have to use your nail or anything like that. Now, I brought in the Civivi Chronic because the flipping action and just, let me repeat this, just the flipping action is kind of similar. And I just mean with the flipper tab, because the way the flipper tab's kind of positioned, I know like this one's a little different, but see how there's small flipper tabs? It kind of feels a little bit like the Civivi Chronic, and that is a compliment. Some people might think that's a bad thing. That is a compliment, because the Civivi Chronic flips so good. The detent is so crisp, and it has such a minimal flipper tab, yet it flips so hard. It's kind of the same way with this. Also, you know, when you middle finger flick this thing, it's so nice because they got this nice chamfered hole all the way around, so it gives you a little bit of bite. You can see I need to clean this up a little bit around that area, which I will. Okay, so the clip, like I said, it works very well. Let's get into the bad. Okay, I just want to say right now, it was very hard for me to find something bad on this. So I literally had to go around and look for something bad, because the detent is just so fine-tuned. And I just want to say this really quick. Listen to this sound. Hold on. Listen to this sound. This is a good thing, by the way. The detent has a unique sound when it locks back in. Now, some people might think that it has a light detent since you can do that. No, it just has such a fine-tuned detent that you can thumb roll it out without pinching. So don't think that that means it has a light detent, because it's just perfect. There's literally no detent lash. It is nice and crisp, very nice. And then the drop on it, super smooth. I mean, it is very, very smooth. I mean, it practically falls shuts, but it's a little less than falls shutty. All right, now let's get to the bad. Okay, so, all right, it was very hard for me to find anything bad. I started rubbing around, looking for something. What is bad? What is bad? And I found this little spot right here. I was like, what is that? What is that? Then I rolled it around, and then I seen, oh, it's a little shelf that got cut all the way around. And they just added it into the carbon fiber too. So that wasn't a bad thing. So I actually had to look for bad. Now I did find one thing that could be considered bad, and that is it does not have an over travel stop. Now, I wouldn't have known that because the lock bar pressure, it's got nice lock bar pressure, not too hard. It's not like a really hard lock bar or anything like that to move over, but it's got good pressure. So it's not one like that you push and it just wham, just slides over. It's not like that. So I don't know if it's actually very necessary. Plus the clip kind of acts as an over travel stop, but it doesn't actually have one. So that's one thing that could be considered a negative to some people, especially people that push the lock bar over really hard, you know, which you don't need to with this. It's just such an easy access. It works so good. All right, the next thing is this clip works very well. I do like it, and I don't mind that it's not completely deep carry. But I feel like this little angle right there, it could have went up there. And they could have used this screw for that screw or something like that. I don't know, because I know like these are countersunk. You know, this screw could have been into this screw, and they could have just scooted this up, because the way it's like milled out, they could have just scooted it straight up. Now, that probably would have messed up the ergos, because the ergos are really good. And that's another thing I did not talk about and I forgot. I'm sorry. The ergos are fantastic. You do feel the clip a little bit, but not in a bad way. This isn't a big knife, so it's not trying to be a Benjamin Griptilian or something like that. It's a medium-sized EDC knife, so that's what it feels like. But it has fantastic ergos, and this jimping just locks you in. This jimping is done so well. It's so nice, and it bites into your skin so nice. But if you move the clip back a little bit, it might hit right here. I mean, it would hit right there, so that might change the ergos. So I don't know if necessarily that is a good representation of something bad. But I just thought, you know, it's something they could have done, and maybe they did. And then they grabbed it and they said, man, it has so much better ergos if we just move it down a little bit, because it does. I mean, and the way this lands, it lands right in a perfect spot of like the meat of my hand. It's not like pushing on a bone or anything like that. It doesn't really have a finger choil, but it does have a very nice sharpening choil. That's another thing I forgot. See, when I have to do videos 3 times, man, this is what happens. I forget about things because I've already repeated them so much. Does have a very nice sharpening choil. All right, so some more bad. Guess what? Doesn't have it. This thing is so nice. It was so hard for me to find anything bad about this thing. It's just so well tuned. And I'm sorry if this wasn't the best knife review. Like I said, I've already done this 3 times now, and sometimes when you do that, you forget what you've already said, and I don't really write notes. So there you go. Peace.